any given point in time, there are millions of things that are vying for your attention. In fact, every single second, your brain is processing 11 million bits of information. However, you can only consciously process about 40 bits per second. So the question isn't what happens to all the information that your brain doesn't think is relevant. The question is, how does your brain decide what is relevant? And in fact, we are now in an economy of attention. And if you don't know how to get it, it can actually hurt your business. And so I'm here today to teach you how to do just that. The average person sees between 6,000 to 10,000 ads every single day. And being a resident of Las Vegas, and as you guys visiting here, I would guesstimate that this is probably double in a city like this. There is a lot of noise that is being inputted at any moment in time. Conversely, we are also dealing with a lack of ability to actually process some of this noise. Our attention spans have decreased by 25% in 15 years. On the social media front, 20 million new videos get posted every single day. No longer can you post a website, can you create a social media profile and expect consumers and customers to go to it. Attention is no longer deserved, it's earned. Now, what we're going to talk about today and how you can apply the psychology of attention and how to capture it both online and offline, we're going to talk about it within the scope of short-form content and within social media, but this applies to everything you're doing. 80% of the time that we are on our cell phones, which is no time at all, right? No one ever picks up their cell phone. We are watching short-form video. So think sub-3-minute content. That could be on Facebook Reels, Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts, TikToks. This is where user behavior lies. Now, if I'm looking at the best way to connect with a consumer, I want to go where they're spending the most time, right? Get the most bang for my buck, Pareto's principle. If I can focus on the 20% that's going to get me the 80% of the results that I want, why would I do that versus facing an uphill battle trying to get their attention in the other 20%. One more just advocation for short-form video in general is that it's about 2.5 times more engaging than traditional long-form content like YouTube's or podcasting, and people are more likely to share, to comment, to save, and interact with it as a whole. Now, super interesting, by 2026, Gen Z will be the largest consumer population. And they also happen to be a generation that was raised on technology. So they expect that companies that they're going to work with, that they're going to buy from, consume from, or buildings that they're going to live in, will interact with them in that way. So much so that as I was doing my research leading up to this event, I found that 80% of Gen Z and 74% of millennials say that social media influences where they're going to rent. So whether we like it or not, your social media presence, your digital presence, and how you're capturing attention and building that credibility and authenticity with your consumer matters. And it certainly matters for the generations that are about to step into being the primary demographic that will be buying and consuming and renting apartments. Now, I often get asked, what's the key metric to success? Is it followers? Is it views? Is it comments? How do I know if my content is doing well? What we need to do is look at what's in your control. And the metric that you can engineer the most is watch time. How can you keep someone watching your content longer? How can you keep someone reading your email longer? How can you keep someone on your website longer? Short-form video and just great content in general relies on this word authenticity. Now, if you're like me, you're probably really tired of hearing this word. It feels a little worn out. I hear it a lot. But especially in our new age of AI content and AI generation, people are asking for and seeking humanity more now than ever. So we came up with a formula for what this looks like. So here's the authenticity formula that we came up with. Authenticity is just simply this. It's your values multiplied by your voice. These two factors exponentially magnify each other, for better or for worse. What does your company care about? If your property values sustainability, I would expect your content to show me about your recycling program, to show me your eco-friendly cleaning products, to show me your eco-friendly pest control. Show me through your content what you care about, because if I care about those things too, Now we have an alignment. And now I'm coming to you because there's other properties that don't care about those things. Great content also has a clear tone. Think about the voice as the personality of your brand. How do you want people to describe your brand to somebody else? And whatever it is, lean into it. And don't try to compete with someone else. And in fact, some of the best companies that have succeeded in this space have done so because they have been unapologetic about their values and their voice. Oftentimes I get questions about hashtags and frequency of posting and time of day to post and what the description should look like and should it have trending audio and does any of this crap matter? And the truth is none of it matters if the content isn't compelling. It's the creative, it's the video that's going to drive the conversions. It's the copy on your website that's going to drive the conversion. It's the video itself that matters, and you cannot out-strategize bad creative. You can try, and you can certainly put a lot of money behind it, but I wouldn't recommend it. So how do we make better content? Well, as we were going into the matrix to look at all these videos, we found that content needed to do three things. If you've had a piece of content that you have loved and you have toiled over and it completely flopped, it's probably because it was missing some of these components. Meanwhile, if you've seen something succeed online and you're like, why the heck did that blow up? It's probably because it had these three factors in it. Great content does three things. It grabs attention, it sparks an emotion, and it creates a curiosity gap. If you don't get them to stop on the video because your first 2 seconds are wrong, nothing else that you've done matters. And in fact, when I used to work with personal brands and entrepreneurs and New York Times bestselling authors, we'd toil over what we would call the book more than anything else. Because you could spend all this time writing the best book in the world, and if no one's gonna pull it off the shelf and buy it because the title doesn't make sense, you've lost all that time. And in fact, as viral video creators, we would spend more time thinking about the first 3 seconds of our content than anything else. The question that the viewer, the reader is asking, your consumer is asking, unconsciously, by the way, as they're going through content, is what's going on here? If you're able to clearly showcase that, it's gonna give them a strong indicator as whether or not they wanna buy in. Then we need to spark an emotion. We need to get them to feel something. Because if the content's not relatable, then you're not gonna get them to do one very important thing. Humans don't act logically, we actually act emotionally. We make purchasing decisions based upon emotions, and then we back it up with logic. Now, there's 6 core emotions that we can look at. Everything kind of spirals out from here. We have joy, love, and wonder or surprise on the positive side. And then we have fear and anger and sadness on the negative side. The media does a great job of leaning into the negative emotions. Now, this is done very intentionally because we have lizard brains. We are more prone to avoid pain than we are to go towards pleasure. By the way, this is the reason that fake news spreads 6 times faster than truthful news. You don't have time to fact check, you're too busy being outraged, and you want everyone else to be outraged too. We always want to think about what emotion we're trying to hit because this is also going to determine how you set up your content. Here is the most important reason that we want people to feel something when we're engaging with them in our content. When people get emotional, they get promotional. When people get emotional, when you move them emotionally, that's what causes them to hit the share button and send this to their friend Sally. Oh my gosh, Sally, this is so you. Oh my gosh, Sally, this is so me. This is so us. This is how content and ideas propagate. Finally, the last thing that we need to do is we need to create a curiosity gap. And the curiosity comes from us leaving something out intentionally. We're gonna tell them we're leaving something out at the beginning of our video, at the beginning of our email, to get their buy-in to say, okay, I wanna know the answer to that. This can look a couple different ways. It can look like leading out the how versus leaving out the what. So maybe you're leaving the end unknown or the middle unknown. I did 100 push-ups a day for 30 days. Let me show you what happened. And then I'm gonna give you the results. Conversely, if I'm leaving the middle unknown, this might look like, here's my before picture, here's my after picture. Now let me show you what I did. So as we utilize the curiosity gap, we get people to stay and we increase that watch time. The question that people are unconsciously asking is what happens next? This is what we want to do. We want to get them to ask what happens next and want to stick around for the answer.